You're listening to the American Dad Podcast. Yeah, boy.
What's going on? This is Andrew with the American Dad Podcast. I am ready to record and discuss all kinds of cool stuff that's been going on in the news. Not all of it's cool, but some of it's sad, actually. But yeah, it's been a little while. Back on the microphone. I've been kind of excited to do it. I needed to have some worthy topics to discuss. Otherwise, I wasn't going to waste your time. And every time I thought of a topic, I'm like, yeah, who wants to hear about that? You know, if this is the first time you're listening, I am a father, a husband. I've got an associate's in dadology. I've got a bachelor's in parenting advice. That's right. It's an online degree. And I'm here to entertain you and inspire you as parents. I don't have all the answers, and I'm not always right on everything, I'm sure, even though I think I am. But, sharing my journey a little bit, sharing my thoughts. I don't know how different I am from any other dad podcast out there, other than I'm not scripted, and now I'm a solo show. But I enjoy doing it. I enjoy being a dad, and I'm passionate about it. And I don't know. So what's been going on? My brother and I came up with the idea to do this family Disneyland trip that we actually just returned from recently here. And so my brother's like, hey, we're going to go to Disneyland. When are you going to go? And I was like, yeah, well, we're going to go. Well, he's like, well, let's coordinate times. And I'm like, all right, well, let's get the sister involved and get her family to do it. And so our original plan was to have, my wife and I and my kids, my brother's wife and his kids, my sister and her husband and her kids, and all road trip down to Southern California. And due to some scheduling difficulties, my brother-in-law wasn't able to go. And so my dad stepped up, grandpa to my nephews. He stepped up and said, hey, yeah, I'll go down there with you guys and help out and, help my sister out, kind of watch the kids when she could and whatnot, so they could do rides and stuff. So our family up here in Washington road trip down there with them and to all the way to California. It's about a 12-hour drive. This drive wasn't too bad. I make this drive usually about once or twice a year, and we usually do it at night because the kids can sleep, and 12 hours goes pretty quick for them. We get down there, we visit my mom, grandma, visit my dad, and then we head on down there and we kind of caravan. And we eventually get down there and everything's great. And, but instead of just telling you my entire Disneyland trip, ride by ride, I will give you some highlights something you could take from this experience that we had together as a family. First thing is, if I haven't mentioned this to you before, they have a breakfast called Goofy's Kitchen or Goofy's Breakfast or whatever. And it's connected to the Disneyland Hotel. And it's this buffet breakfast where you pay a lot of money to get your family in there. You take pictures with Goofy. It's all very special. Disneyland pretty much does everything top notch. You don't feel like you are ever being ripped off in any way or something like that. I'm guesstimating here, but I'm guessing it's about $25 a person plus tax, something like that. Kids and whatnot. It's all the same. But the cool thing is you get this amazing breakfast, right? It's a buffet, but it's not like any buffet you've ever had. My daughter's favorite item was this peanut butter and jelly pizza, which she enjoys. She likes peanut butter and jelly in general. So that was just easy for her. And then one of the very cool things is the characters come to your table. So we had Chip from Chip and Dale, the little chipmunk. We had who was Alice? Alice in Wonderland came by. We've seen Blue in the past. We've seen Aladdin. We've seen Jasmine from that one movie. I can't think of it now. Blue from I don't know, that other movie. On the spot, I can't think of any of these things. I probably should have written it down, but so, and then we spent more money than we should on these signing books when we could actually just probably reuse the ones we have every year, but we seem to misplace them. And the signing books where the characters, Disneyland or whatever, it's another expense that you can definitely control. But kids love doing it. They get the signatures, and then we were supposed to put the pictures in the book, and then that was them this year. Whatever. Anyways, if you go down there, I don't know how. I think we heard about it, years ago from somebody else that had done it and had such a great time. If you got the money to do it, I would definitely, take part of that experience. I mean, there's not just families there. I mean, the couples went there, and it's a really amazing breakfast. You're not getting ripped off by any means. You will leave full. I think gratuity is already taken care of in your actual admission to get into this breakfast. Very cool. My brother, I was kind of anxious. I didn't want my brother and sister to go in there and spend a lot of money. Like, oh, that was crap. I don't. So I was real careful to make sure, like, hey, did you guys enjoy that? Like, and they're like, oh yeah, totally worth it. Do it again. I'm like, oh, okay. It's not just us. So, anyway, so we did the Disneyland thing and the California Adventure thing as a family, and we always started each day as a group of 13, parents and kids and my nephews and we go on rides together. And this was actually the best time. So here's another pointer for Disneyland. The first week of their Christmas celebration. Now that might change from year to year, but when they're all done with the Halloween stuff and the very first day. That is going to be probably the best time to go, as all the rides were like either just walk right on or no more than like a 20-minute wait. I think the longest wait that we had was actually in California Adventures, and that was on the Cars ride, the brand new, in the Cars Adventure Town, whatever. That we waited about 50 minutes, and my brother said the year that he went before, it was like 2 hours, 2.5 hour wait. Well worth the wait, regardless if you wait 2.5 hours or not. I don't know that I could do that. I don't think I have the attention span anymore to do that, but amazing. If you go to Radiator City or whatever it's called, Route 66 thing that they got, they actually have like a replica of the Cars town or whatever. Or Route 66. I'm totally chewing that city up, but totally worth it. Totally cool, and yeah. Anyway, so some of the rides have changed a little bit over the years, which is cool. One of the other big things that I would recommend I tell you what, one of the things I enjoyed as this big group is that there is going to be an amazing memory for not only me and my wife and but even for my dad, who got to hang out with his grandkids, all of them. It's just memories that you get to hold. You get to keep those, and it's just going to be amazing. Even for my kids, they're going to be going like, remember that time we went with all our cousins down to Disneyland and we did that? I'll be like, yep, I sure do. Yeah. So let's see what else we got here. One of the things that was probably a big struggle was with a large group. Not everybody can do everything. We got ages that range from 9 to like 2, and so not everybody can do everything. So and then and they have kids, like for instance, like we always want to stop and talk to the characters, my wife and the kids. We get the picture and the signing of the book, and my brother would do that too with his family, but my sister wasn't that interested in it, especially because her husband wasn't there. She's like, well, I don't want to take pictures of the characters. My husband's not even here to do it too, and I understood that. My sister-in-law, she really enjoys watching the parade go by. But my family's like, well, we don't really care about that. We'd rather hit up some rides. So, that's what we did. That was something that her family treated. It was like, I'm assuming the tradition when they go down, they like to watch that. And I think we've only watched it once, and, we're more interested in just doing other things. So, you end up having to separate if the big group, if you want to get as much done as possible, move quickly, and, not everybody's on the same pace. But we met up with each other later, like after lunchtime or whatever, and Definitely something to think about if you're going to go to Disneyland. Maybe sometime, maybe not now, maybe if 5 years from now, maybe do a big family get together, go to Disneyland. You don't have to stay together the whole day, but maybe do some rides together. It's just the moments you're going to remember. And then another interesting thing that happened, because you guys are so interested in all of this stuff, is that we saw a guy from Hell's Kitchen. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that show. But we're on the Star Tours ride, and this big gentleman comes by, and I'm like, that guy looks familiar. And I could only see the back of him, but just his stature is like, that looks familiar to me. And as he started to walk past us, because he had this, I don't know, the quick line he was in, it was this guy, Robert from Hell's Kitchen. And I'm like, I'm just, I already had my camera out. So I was snapping pictures like an idiot. But I was like, whatever, what's he going to say to me? And so we end up getting in line. We're like literally next to him on the Star Tours ride, like waiting to get on the ride. And my wife starts conversation with him. And was like, yeah, I just want to say I watched you on, Hell's Kitchen. And he's like, oh, thanks. He's making small talk with my wife. So when they were done, I'm like, hey, can I get a picture? He's like, sure. So, again, I took some more pictures, and my wife was all stoked about that because she really enjoys that show. So that is it for Disneyland. I won't drill that in, though. We had a great time. I think my feet killed me. It was just brutal. If you don't walk a lot and if you don't run a lot, I think your feet are like, what are you doing? Like you can't just stand on your feet all day when you never do that. That's what my feet told me. Just wanted to let you know that. So the reason I was kind of hyped up to just go ahead and start recording with little or no preparation is because I'm a part of a couple blog. I want to say networks. They're kind of like social networks. Well, the one I forgot to tell you guys about is I'm a part of a Life of Dad blog or Life of Dad. It can be found at lifeofdad.com, and this is kind of like a social network for dads. You can go on and read a ton of bloggers, they all kind of blog on this one site. If you're looking for a new dad podcast, maybe, which I don't know why you would, because this one's so incredibly amazing. You can go to this website and you can check out all the different podcasts. It kind of helps you find, maybe another dad podcast that might interest you. Because, not all dad podcasts are created equal. So yeah, definitely check them out. I was very honored to be on their website, and I just thought that was pretty cool. I'm a part of another kind of like a private network for dad bloggers. In fact, it's called Dad Blogger, whatever Facebook thing, and it's where these I don't know, maybe 600 dads have a chance to talk about certain things, and they're all blogging about it, of course, or will blog about it most likely. But they discuss things, and something interesting came up today, and it was in the news. And the article that was shared says, let's see here. It says another couple found guilty of murder for parenting by, and then in quotations, to train up a child. Now, to train up a child is it's in reference to this book that I knew nothing about. And I still know very little about it because I'm actually afraid to read it, believe it or not. And you're like, well, what are you afraid of? Well, I'll just tell you, I'll read this article from examiner.com. It says 2 parents in the state of Washington found guilty of murder after following the abusive parenting techniques advocated in the parenting book To Train Up a Child by Michael and Debbie Pearl. It talks about the wife and husband, how they're receiving the maximum prison sentence allowed. The New York Times reported, now this is in quotations, late one night in May this year, the adopted girl Hannah, this is the girl that also was found dead, was found face down, naked, and emaciated in the backyard. Her death was caused by hypothermia and malnutrition, officials determined. According to the sheriff's report, the parents had deprived her of food for days at a time and made her sleep in a cold barn or a closet and even shower outside with a hose. And they often whipped her, leaving marks on her legs. Her mother had praised the Pearl's book and had given a copy to a friend, the sheriff's report reported. Hannah had been beaten the day of her death, her report said, with a 15-inch plastic tube recommended by Mr. Pearl. Let's see here. Some of the discipline techniques include using plastic tubing to beat children, since it hurts a lot but leaves few marks to alert authorities. Wearing the plastic tubing around the parent's neck as a constant reminder to obey. So, essentially, if you whipped your child with this, I mean, you're intimidating your child with the thought of that you could just basically take it off your neck and whip them again. Another one is swatting babies as young as 6 months old with instruments such as a 12-inch willowy branch, thinner plastic tubing, or a wooden spoon. Another one's called blanket training. Blanket training babies by hitting them with an instrument if they try to crawl off a blanket on the floor. Another one is beating older children with rulers, paddles, belts, and larger tree branches. Training, in quotations, children with pain before they disobey in order to teach obedience. Another one is giving cold baths, putting children outside in the cold weather, and withholding meals as discipline. Another one is hosing off children who have potty training accidents. Inflicting punishment until a child is without a breath to complain. Michael Pearl tells one mother on his website, "I could break his anger in 2 days. He would be too scared to get angry. On the third day, he would draw into a quiet shell and obey." The Pearls and their ministry, No Greater Joy, make an estimated $1.7 million a year. This is actually the third couple found guilty of killing their children by following these methods from this guy. So obviously, I don't know if there's much debate about this. There shouldn't be. And if there is debate, if you're debating whether these are right or wrong, you can go ahead and turn off my podcast because I don't want you listening to it. These training, I mean, obviously, they're very, it's child abuse. Now, in everything that I read to you regarding these techniques that this guy promotes, I was spanked with a spoon and I broke many on my butt. I don't know where that started. I don't know why you need a spoon to spank a kid. I don't even care. I mean, I was spanked with a spoon. I'm not inflicted. I'm not damaged in any way by that. It's just it's a story I probably haven't even talked about in, I don't know, unless it comes up. Like, were you spanked with a spoon? Yeah. Were you? Yeah. I mean, that's the kind of thing that comes up. I wasn't spanked with anything else. I know that other people have used belts. I think that's probably a common thing that was used over the years. I don't know how many people actually still use a belt. Again, I don't really know if that's really needed. I mean, there's so many other ways to discipline a child. Needless to say, I find the 99% of these methods child abuse, not needed. And if you agree with these methods, like I said, this probably isn't the right podcast for you. So with that being said, I've lost another half of my audience. Hopefully not. Anyway, so like I said, I don't think there's much debate in the fact that some of these fear tactics, even the thought process of the writer, I mean, I could break that child. I mean, really, is that what it's about? I mean, is it about breaking your child, having them fear you? I mean, I'm all about, I believe wholeheartedly that we are in charge of guiding and training our children to be good adults, right? I totally believe that. But I mean, is there some point in our lives where we're adults, like we need to get whooped again? Like, well, probably we need to get spanked here and there, but no one trains adults that way. You know what I mean? Like, you're not disciplined that way as an adult. You're not beaten with a hose because you do something wrong. You learn your lessons other ways. And I don't even really want to go down that road. That's not even it's not even a road worth traveling. The fact of the matter is this guy's book is actually for sale on Amazon. there's like a 15, I'm probably overestimating here without looking at it. There was like maybe 12 to 1500 people that gave this book 5 stars. There was no 3 stars, 4 stars, 2 stars. It was either this guy got 5 stars or this guy got 1 star. And the majority of the comments are the reason why I probably will never buy this book, but I sure as hell will comment on it. It talked about basically every person that said 4 stars was like, this is abuse. This guy calls himself a Christian. I would never do this. They were Christians responding to him being a Christian and how this is supposed to be a Christian book. And that's a whole nother thing. This guy's book is under the guise the thing of, hey, this is a Christian book. We're using Christian methods. Well, let me just say, anybody can call themselves a Christian. Anybody can call themselves a Muslim. Anybody, you know what I mean? Like we got people bombing things around the United States calling themselves Muslims, but the Muslims are like, hey, that's not us. That's not what we promote. Well, I can tell you right now, Christians do not promote what this guy's insinuating. Do we need to discipline our children? Yes. Do we need to take hoses and whip them? No. They do need to be disciplined. Yes. I mean, I think that's just a fact of life that if there's no consequence for behavior, time out, spankings, what taking things away, and I'm not saying taking away their bed or taking away their warmth. There still needs to be discipline in life. That's going to happen. This way is not the right way. So now that I'm past that, right? This crazy Michael Pearl. I mean, you might be interested in like, well, let me see what this guy's actually saying. I would recommend not even putting a dime in this guy's pocket. I don't even know how Amazon continues to sell this. And if you do read the book and you are in agreement with me, I would say, please contact Amazon and say, take this guy's book down. It's, I mean, I don't even know how it's still up there. So we got on this dad blog thing and we start discussing the topic of why this happened. And of course, I haven't read the book, but I can only assume that this guy's using scripture from the Bible to justify his means of his recommendations. He clearly does not have an associate's in dadology with his with his recommendations. So the people were basically saying in this dad blog, and there was some people commenting on scripture, and one of the dad bloggers was saying, hey, he basically pulling all this scripture down. It's saying, and I'm paraphrasing what he said. I'm not quoting what he said, but basically taking the exact scripture, and I can't remember what it was. It was in Proverbs, but it was basically saying, beat your kid with, I don't want to say beat. I can't remember exact words. But basically, spank your kid with a rod. Don't worry, he's not going to die. And that's so horrible. I should have that scripture up here. And I actually looked up the scripture in different versions, and there was basically variations of this scripture. And I think, and there was some other scriptures about stoning that he pulled up. And here's the thing about, first of all, there's a thing called discernment, and there's a thing called, common sense. There's something called out of context. So anybody can take one scripture out of the Bible and run with it. It happens all the time. But if, that's one of the reasons why I like to hear a pastor when he's talk about whatever's being written during that time, what was happening, who was saying it, why was he saying it? What's happening? Just taking a simple sentence out of a very large book like the Bible is absurd. And then especially for the time, and I think some of the scriptures that was being to prove his point was taken out of Old Testament, which again, you're taking different laws from different times and you're reading about those laws. So my big thing was, look, you got to have some discernment, okay? When you hear the whole, I always remember, like, spare the rod, spoil the child. Like, if you don't discipline them, you're spoiling them, and they're going to turn out to be crappy kids, right? I agree with that to a degree. There's some discernment in there. How do I want to discipline them? Do I want to beat them till they're half dead? Do I want to torture my kids? No, I need them to take care of me when I get old. I need them to love me. I don't want, listen, I know parents out there. I know that parents grew up and they were like, oh, my child was truly terrible. My parents didn't know how to parent. And they're probably like, yeah, when I read off that thing, they're like, yeah, my parents did that to me too. They probably did a few things in there. It's not the right thing to do. It's not humane. It's just sickening. So have some discernment, right? We want to know. I mean, we want to know what is crap. You want to read between the lines, right? You want to read. Here's an example. I go to church once in a while. Haven't been going lately, and I've listened to many pastors over the years, and there's pastors that I think they do certain things. They say certain things to either protect themselves, like to make themselves look better, or maybe they interpret things their own way. I mean, the way they feel about it, instead of maybe some more logical, historical, interpretations of it, of maybe a Bible passage or a scripture. And that's when you got to find the discernment and be like, this guy is only human. He is a pastor. He's supposed to be leading these people and teaching them. But even this guy's going to make mistakes. No one's going to be perfect. And you got to be able to, I don't want to say take everything with a grain of salt, but be able to determine when, like, hey, you know what? I might want to interpret that myself, not let him interpret it for me, because I don't maybe necessarily agree with that. Or maybe get a different opinion. If you don't know what's right and wrong, don't listen to one opinion. Don't go to the stupid book that I'm talking about here and go, well, that's the Bible. He knows everything, and I'm going to do it exactly like he told it because he says this is in the Bible. That's crap. Come on, dude. Use your brain. People go to jail for whipping their kids all the time. Must not be okay. Another thing I don't like about this is, like I mentioned before, you got that whole word of, this is a Christian book. This is a Christian author. Use some discernment. This guy can say whatever he wants. He can say he's a Christian, say he's Muslim. He does not represent me as a Christian. I would not follow any of these, what is this, highlighted teaching, what they call it, techniques. I'm not gonna have my kid walk around in fear. You want to build confidence to your kid. You want to, you want them to respect you. That's what yelling's for, right? Again, associates in dadology. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know. We did have this healthy conversation in this dad blog forum. We were very respectful, but there's just going to be people out there, and that are just going to just take what one guy says and just run with it. Maybe because they don't know any better, but it's probably always going to happen. Just blind followers of something, and just because someone labels it, just because you read it in a book doesn't mean it's true. Unless you hear it on this podcast, it's not true. Don't listen to that. I'm just kidding. It's kind of like I remember my cousin years ago, and this is like 20 years ago. So we're like teenagers, and he tells me something, whatever it was. He's like, well, it was in a book. I'm like, what the heck does that mean? Like, anybody can write a book. Anybody. I can write a book. Does that mean everything that I say in that book's true? No. Does it mean everything I say in that book's right? No. Just common sense, people. Common sense. Anyways, so, there's going to be other people talking about this. I think the guys on the Super Dad Show are going to talk about it. Fortunately, I can record faster than them, so I get to talk about it first. But, it just goes back to, in my opinion, if I had to give parenting advice every day, I would think that everything I said was right. But I just would not ever use any of these methods to discipline my kid. Even why do I don't need to use weapons to discipline my kid. When I say weapons, rulers, paddles, belts, tree branches. If I spank my kid, it's going to hurt. I'm a big boy. Okay. And my spankings would probably hurt till they're 18. I don't need to use weapons to discipline my kids. We have plenty of tools in our disposal with timeouts and take their toy away or restriction. I don't need to starve them. So anyway, I just need to talk about that. It was worthy of a topic, worthy of discussion by myself, worthy of just venting on that. Don't take the Bible out of context, and don't take the context that you hear from just one person. If you want to know about something in the Bible or just in general, use several resources. Don't just use one guy. I've never sat in church and had a pastor say any of these things ever. They'd say, we need to guide our children and teach them right, but they've never, ever, ever said something like this. And if they did, I probably wouldn't go to church there. So anyways, guys, so I did start some, I had some new music. I needed to get rid of the American Dad. I am a real American because I don't own the rights to that. I didn't want to get in trouble. So I went to YouTube and I got some of their music that's free. So thank you, YouTube. So with that being said, I'm going to cut this little one short because I'm probably going to record again soon. Thank you guys for listening. Also, if you guys listen to Audible, I would not listen to that dude's book on to train up a child. Do not get this book on Audible if it's available. I have not checked. But if you do get a book that's worthy of a parenting book or any other book for your casual reading, if you would be so kind to use Audible and use that, I use it on my iPhone. I listen to books all the time. I listen to podcasts all the time. It's so much more convenient on my drive. I'm not listening to music on my drive. I just listen to, I learn a lot. So you can go to audibletrial.com/American Dad Podcast, and they give you a credit for a free book, and then you can basically cancel after your free book if you don't like it. I would stick with it, but I don't get anything if you guys stick with it. There's nothing. I have no extra incentive. I just recommend that you use it. If you do sign up, I do get a small commission, and I thank you guys in advance if you decide to do that and use that offer. But if not, that's fine. There's still plenty of podcasts to listen to. I think I'm going to do some kind of thing where I'm going to be sharing some dad blogs out there. I'm going to start doing a little reading, dad blogs of my own, and share some that I think that are worth listening to or reading. If you're into that kind of stuff, if you got the time, if you don't, then I'll take all that information and share it through this podcast. So you don't have to go anywhere else. So thank you guys for listening, and let's get into the... I think I like the fact that it's like, this is kind of funky, So it's got a little attitude on it. Makes me want to do a little dance. You're just going to have to watch the video to watch my fancy dance. Anyway, guys, thank you again for listening. You guys are truly awesome. And, let's be discerning parents out there, all right? Thanks again for listening. Peace out.